Did you miss us? Did you miss us? I know you. I know you did.
I did. I missed you, Tim.
This is welcome back. If you're following us before, if you're new to the show, this is the Bros Watch Loki. We decided we had to take a brief hiatus. Unfortunately, we don't have enough YouTube followers yet for this to be my job. So, in the springtime, I get a little busy, and things happen. And but anyways, and the other part of that is we wanted to see how our Supreme Chancellor Kevin Feige did with the first series in the MCU, and WandaVision was real good. Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier was really good, and so we said, Loki's the one we'll start reviewing. So, before we get going on Loki, give me some of your thoughts on WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, so I mean, WandaVision was just fantastic. They had like a self-contained story. They fleshed everything out, left a little bit of meat on the bone so that they could come back to it later. Loved her uniform at the end. That's like one of the best costumes the Marvel Universe has had, probably the best. But
Yeah,
like,
the
story
updated
overall was fantastic.
Yeah.
We got to see like the trauma and everything that Wanda was going through and the way she was handling it with her powers. And also Catherine Hahn, like,
Oh,
fantastic. She's not
Agatha.
bad at anything.
It was Agatha all along.
Yeah, it was, and that song just
Just yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, for me, WandaVision, it started slow. I wasn't really sure. We know that Marvel has proven that when it comes to a 2.5 hour movie, they can crush anybody in the world and make it good, make it nostalgic, make it look awesome, other than Captain Marvel. And, and so I didn't know what to expect going smaller format, especially during, kind of the pandemic where, just couldn't have full staffs and stuff working on the show. So it was interesting. And yeah, for me, it started a little slow, and then it really got going. And then, of course, all the theories started flying around, right? And then, in the end,
and they were all wrong.
in the end, in the end, it ended up being just very, oh, okay. And then we get a little clips at the, when she's reading through the Darkhold and all, late at the very end. Then we get our first little glimpse into what they're kind of planning for her. But yeah, I mean, it really turned me around, and I was really the way the last 3 or 4 episodes went. I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
This is the new MCU.
And I would 100% watch just Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen just in a sitcom. They were fantastic. Their chemistry was great. And
Yeah. She deserves all the awards for how well she acted in that series. Like, she deserves all the awards. Yeah.
Yeah, they are great.
But
So what about the next one?
Falcon and Winter Soldier, man. I mean, for me, as good as WandaVision finished, I was very excited for this because I kind of felt we were gonna get mostly like what we got. It was gonna be kind of like a buddy cop, action, like hand-to-hand combat type, whodunit type thing. And I loved it. I loved it.
I think we got a little bit more than a buddy cop. In fact, I'm going to say something that you may or may not find controversial. The best parts of that show had nothing to do with the really generic, unrelatable flag smashers. The best parts of this show was just, it was Sam and Bucky either like working on the ship or like talking to each other,
100%.
Through stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Way better than the Flag Smashers. I don't even like the name Flag Smashers.
And Bucky may be trying to become Sam's, brother-in-law. Who knows? We don't know.
Yeah.
But it certainly seems that way.
Yeah, he was about it, man.
He was about that life. He was about that boat life.
Yep. He's like, yeah, let's fix the boat, guys. Like,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. And like the Sam's speech is like possibly the most hard-hitting, like serious speech at the end of the series. Like
amazing.
One of the best things we've had in the Marvel universe, and like it almost made me tear up because of how good it was. It wasn't sad or anything. It was just like a really strong message.
Right. And Anthony Mackie, that is like, he is in the perfect role for him. Like with the kind of like quick-witted, like sarcasm, and then but he still gets to be kind of like a meathead, type. Like I feel like Sam Wilson is like the perfect role for him.
Yeah, and not too long ago, I did not like Anthony Mackie as an actor. I thought he was just incredibly one note, like, oh yeah, he's just the brooding guy that's just gotta quip every now and then. But like, he did the one Netflix movie, and then he did
The robot
this,
one?
which, like, yeah,
Yeah.
like totally turned my opinion around on him.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, because like the second season of Altered Carbon was really bad.
Yeah, it wasn't. But I did. I had a lot to.
Help that at all.
That had a lot to do with writing too, I think.
Yeah, it did. It absolutely did. But like the way he brought his character, like Joel Kinnaman, was fantastic, and it was just like not at all the same.
Well, by the nature of that show, you kind of have to try to be Joel Kinnaman, right? Because like he is right. Like he is Kowashi's. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I thought it was great. Kind of like you said, I think my favorite part was kind of getting to see how the world deals with these people coming back. We got a little bit of that in Far From Home, right? But you didn't really, because it was just kind of self-contained in Peter's class, right? So this was the first.
Yeah, but like you saw that the whole Stark's like whole company is like, we hate this man.
Right.
We just hate him.
Yeah. But like, yeah. So like, this is the first time we really got to see ground level. Like everything's not cool. Like, okay, everybody came back, but like it's not as good as it seems. Like it wasn't just like everybody turned back up after 5 years and everything went back to normal. No. So that was a good part for me. But anyways, we've talked enough about the past. This is the Bros Watch Loki. It's not the Bros rehash the first two seasons of other MCUs.
Because we got busy with work.
And so, anyways, the Bros Watch Loki. Boy, they dropped us right into Manhattan here. Huh? Like they just started us off like, okay, here we go. Here's all the scenes from Endgame.
Footage. Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to talk about
No. Yeah, I mean it's just here's right where we were in Endgame, and this is exactly what Loki did.
Yeah, and then we show him going to the Gobi Desert, just
ending
up in the middle of nowhere.
Also, the way the TVA shows up, awesome.
Yeah,
just like
him getting smacked, and then his lips are like.
Oh, I meant the door. Like the door alone, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
fantastic.
So obviously Loki broke out of the timeline, and that's a no-no. And if you've kind of gone back, they've kind of mentioned it, I think, a couple times throughout the MCU, but it's been like one line or one word or something about the timekeepers and the Watchers and all this stuff. And this is the first time they really have referenced them, but and they were always in the comics and stuff. They always, the comics. There's been so many Marvel comics put out over the years that you had to go there all the time. But yeah, it's the first time we really have talked openly about, who's in charge of everything really in the universe.
Yeah, everything, like really.
Right, like yeah,
find
like
out in the episode they really are in charge of everything.
Right. Yeah, and so
interesting.
And so obviously Loki, God of Mischief, they take him, and I thought the scene when it was kind of like it's very reminiscent of Ragnarok when Thor kind of gets apprehended and they're kind of putting him in the chair and putting him through. I got that same kind of feeling with Loki as he's going through the different departments and they're asking him questions and he's confused and the whole thing I had to keep reminding myself is that this was. This was like what 2012 Loki, right? So
yeah,
this is we're going back within the Marvel timeline because let's see, what was Falcon? That was 2022, 2023, something like that, right? So now Loki, we're basically removing the last 10 years of what we know of Loki.
Yeah, and like his prison sentence was actually really helpful for him. He's just here, like he's power hungry, he's arrogant, and he still has that control over everyone.
Right, and I think the loss of Frigga too really sobered him up a little bit,
Yeah, it definitely did.
And we kind of get that, but of course the kid, whoever the kid was in the take a ticket deal, that was fantastic. That was like so funny. Like no. He told me I didn't need one. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you're out. You're out. You're done. Like the timeline continues without you, my friend. I'm sorry.
We see Loki have this like existential crisis.
He's like,
buddy.
Oh, buddy. And so that was great. And then of course, he goes to trial and he's arguing with the judge as Loki does, right? I thought it was really cool where he was like kind of going through his whole spiel, like, "Am I guilty of da da da?" Yes, am I guilty of da da da? Yeah. You know, and he was trying to pull one over on the judge, but he doesn't know that she knows everything, right? And so
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that little part from Tom there. Also, like, if I could have Tom Hiddleston's voice, I mean this podcast and YouTube show would go to straight to the top of the
He's
charts.
a he's got a very smooth,
Oh,
assertive
it's
voice.
just he's. If I could pick one guy to talk like, it would be that. It would be Tom Hiddleston.
I mean, we see we see just how smooth he is a little later in the show.
Yeah, but yeah. So I think, and then we get Owen Wilson, and we could break down his performance, but I think the way he's playing that character is the perfect foil for Loki, especially 2012 Loki.
Yeah, especially since like all the TVA people are just not dealing with it. Like they've dealt with powers and things. Like they're just like, yeah, dude, whatever. You're just another guy. You're
Yeah.
just some other dude to us.
Yeah, and I think later in the episode, because I mean, we're kind of jumping around a little bit, but as we go through the episode, and he goes to try and get the Tesseract back, he's like, "What? You have like 20 Infinity Stones in your desk, bro."
It's just like,
Yeah, it's like
paperweights.
it's like yeah, we pick them up a lot. Guys have them. Yeah. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And it's like, they don't. And then you find out later, like they don't work in the TVA.
And
So his
it
powers
kind of-
don't work. The stones don't work. Nothing.
It took him back a little bit because he was like, "This is what I've been thirsting over
Right.
for years, and you guys don't give a shit at all about them."
Yeah. But then you see him like as he's talking to the fish guy. I forgot his name, but
fish guy.
the gut you like a fish guy. So he's talking to him. You see the light kind of go off of Loki's head. He's like, "But this is the most powerful thing in the universe, right?" And the guy, it's kind of like, yeah, for sure. Like you can see Loki, the wheels start turning.
Yeah, he's like, "How can I use this to my advantage?"
Right. But yeah, I mean, I thought the kind of fight deal with it wasn't really that big of a fight, but with the head TVA enforcer or whatever.
Yeah.
I forget her
Did
name.
they say her name?
I don't
I
think
don't
they
remember.
mentioned her name. I didn't
She's a
catch.
Minuteman. They
Right.
call them Minutemen.
Right. So, but that was a cool little fight, and I liked the bit when he gets the collar deal on her, and he starts, you know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. As Loki,
Stop.
not only does Hiddleston do such a good job of like playing Loki, but they give him these awesome little bits like that. Like Loki, I feel like Loki has the best moments of like levity or whatever you want to call it, or comedic relief. He always gets like the best part. Whatever he's in a movie, Loki has the best lines, the best parts.
I mean, he is the god of mischief.
That is true.
And one thing I just want to touch on, I know we're like not in order at all. We'll get it. We'll bring it back in another episode. But like him being DB Cooper is so.
Oh, that was so awesome! I was
because
such a good little.
That scene is because it's like an actual mystery what happened to the
Right,
guy.
like
He's
nobody
just,
knows. We still don't know who
disappeared
DB
off the
Cooper
face.
is.
Which is like amazing. To
Well,
me.
but then
Like that little-
the best part of that is he goes, "Oh, well, where were you when I was, hijacking this plane?" And he says something, and he goes, "Well, I lost a bet to Thor, like,
yeah,
like as you do, right?"
And I liked the questioning between him and Owen Wilson's character about like why do you do it?
Right.
He's trying to like get in Loki's head and
Yeah.
figure out what his deal is.
Well, and I think we'll get to the end of the show later, obviously, but I think looking back on how the show ended, it makes a lot of sense why he was asking him these questions.
Yes, it does. And it was pretty obvious to me. I was like, as soon as they said there were stab wounds, I was like, it's Loki.
Well, that's what I
100% Loki.
Well, when they said that earlier in the episode, I thought that was him, like he had left, it was already causing mischief. And
well, technically he already did because it's time.
I can't.
I don't want to get all tenant on you. But
I can't. Listen. I can't. Let's get a little further in the season before we start going that far off the rails, because we might have a session where everybody maybe pops a little 3-chi or something, hang out, but yeah, I mean that was my first thought too early on, and then you kind of see like they take him to the TVA and all, and so you're kind of like, okay, well maybe it wasn't him, like, obviously time is a flat circle, but
Yeah. And something that was really important, they flat out say multiverse of madness.
Yeah,
When
yeah, yeah,
Owen
yeah,
Wilson's
yeah.
talking to Loki, I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
Oh,
no,
that
they
makes
do it.
anything.
Well, they do it in the cartoon deal. Like that was also a nice touch when he was in the ticket line with the cartoon
Yeah,
deal.
the
It
cartoon.
gave me the feeling of like when you go to Universal or you go to Disney or something, they got all the monitors
Yeah.
and they play these stupid video. That's what it felt
They
like
got
to
to tell
me.
you about the safety on the rides.
Right, right. But then it was like they basically were just like, yeah. Like this is setting up Doctor Strange in a year, you know,
Uh-huh.
which was really cool, and I'm sure everybody kind of popped a little bit here and that, but yeah. So what have we missed so far before the end?
The Just how ridiculously big the TVA is. It's not
Yeah,
like it's just like in open space, and I love visuals like that. Anything that's like really big or expansive, and you can just like look out into things. Like
right.
anytime a movie or a video game executes that well, it just blows me away. And like it was like it looked like just trillions of people just stretching off in the distance. It was
Yeah, and
amazing.
I think and was it inverted? Part of it was inverted, or was those just more buildings, or But I think
I
I
have no
think
idea.
I think the tone that they were setting by doing that scene, like obviously to show how expansive the TVA is, but I thought it was more Marvel being like, hey, like WandaVision, the effects were all kind of in a small scale, right? Even
Yeah.
her cube or whatever, her wall, everything
It's
was everything was as a smaller scale. And then Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's more practical, a lot of combat and a lot of very much more grounded type stuff.
Yep.
And I think this is Marvel going like, oh no, we can blow it out on these series too. Like
Yeah.
this shot with all the detail in the background there, I think is them basically being like, oh yeah, strap in, like we're turning
Like,
it up.
just in case
Yeah.
you guys forgot that this universe can just expand infinitely, here's a little glimpse of that.
Right, yeah. Well, also, but I think it's just them being like, "Oh no, we're putting money into these shows. Like we're doing them just like we would do a movie." And
Yeah.
and I think that's just their kind of message by doing something that grandiose, also with like all the teleportation windows and all the things from the TVA. Like I think it's it's um it's just them making a statement like, "Hey, like we're gonna do this show right," you know, uh, as opposed to like all the graphic, or I guess in the same vein as anything you would see like in Endgame.
Yeah. I mean, so far they're succeeding. I think they did a great job with this first episode.
Yeah. So I think the only part we haven't touched on is the end now, and
Yeah.
so we kind of Owen Wilson has said throughout the show like he's basically told people like I'm recruiting this guy to help me. I think he's the one that can help me. And so um, it wasn't even like a big reveal. Like the reveal comes after the real reveal, right? Because he tells him
Yeah.
like, oh no, we're going after you, buddy.
Yeah.
And then you get the Minutemen kind of searching after whatever kind of scepter that was in the middle of the field in Salina, Oklahoma, not too far from here. In the 1800s, right?
Yeah.
And they initially just kind of, oh, tag it and bag it, right? There's oil here. Someone had a time machine and they're trying to make some money. Is exactly what the guy said. And we should have
Yes.
known. No, sir, this is not how this ends for you, buddy.
Hmm.
You know.
And they get attacked.
I mean, it was really. I mean, was it an attack? Like it was very lopsided. It was just like an ambush. Like hey,
I mean, getting
I
thrown
mean,
in the fire is pretty
when you
aggressive to me.
when you show up and there's oil all around the staff, I could have told you that was bad news. Like that was.
Yeah.
And of course, it's Loki. You can now that we know it's Loki. You can see hooded Loki. And he drops drops the torch, or drops the lantern in the oil, and that's it for you guys.
Yep. Yeah. The Minutemen didn't really stand a chance there. But
No,
that was the end of the episode, right? It was just like
that was
they
it.
closed in
Yeah,
on like this hooded
yeah, yeah,
figure.
yeah. That was it. That was the last thing. And so here's the question: which Loki is this?
Yeah. That is,
Or
is it the Loki that got choked out by Thanos?
when Loki is this, right? Like, is
Yeah,
this?
when?
Well, he didn't get choked out by Thanos. He snapped his neck. So I think that
Yeah.
Loki's probably done. But I guess it. See, here's my theory right now. This is my working theory. This is that Loki, hooded Loki, evil Loki is present Loki plus like 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's
Because he is Asgardian. He could look exactly the same.
Right. The sidetracked Loki who did his time with the TVA already, and that's what I think Owen Wilson's character. What is his name? Mobius, right? And I think that's what he's trying to say. I think we're gonna get some kind of reveal later in the show that where, Mobius is like, I didn't do it right with this guy the first time around. Let me try a different approach with this guy. And hopefully, maybe he shows him his life later, whatever. And then we know Loki already fast forwarded to see how he ended against Thanos. And so maybe that's Mobius kind of saying, like, I think I can fix this, kind of doing what we did with that guy, but better.
Yeah, and that's you talked about him fast forwarding and seeing like his death and Frigga and like him connecting with Thor and all this, and even though he saw that and saw what was capable of like them actually patching everything up over the next few years, I don't know if it had the same impact. We don't know.
No, of course it doesn't.
He might just be like, yeah, I can change it. I can really control everything this time, because like Owen Wilson was always already like, yeah, dude, the I want to say Time Lords. That's not right.
That's a different show.
It's a different show. Timekeepers. The Timekeepers, like, they won the war. It's just their time stream now. They do whatever. And he was like, even like, oh well, what about Thanos? He's like, yeah, that was supposed to happen. They were supposed to go back in time. The Avengers were supposed to go back in time.
Yeah, I mean that is definitely an interesting wrinkle to it, right? Like.
Yeah, that means we don't have a single time stream. Maybe there's like a time channel, and then there's one time stream, and then split off with the Avengers.
I think that's kind of what they've been setting up with this, right? Is like we can now do kind of anything we want, right? Like we can go to this universe and this universe and that,
Well,
and
here, my theory, the Timekeepers are not benevolent. They won.
No, of course not.
They won the war, and they destroyed all the other timelines. And what Loki is trying to do is eventually kill them so that he can make his own free will choices. And he does that by collecting things from the TVA.
I was going to say, what do you think? So we know that now when they said that's 6 now, were they talking about teams or were they talking about the reset mechanisms? Because I thought they were talking about the reset.
I thought he said teams, but yeah, it looks like he was very clearly trying to get the reset mechanisms.
Because they even showed
a big reset, right?
At the very end, after he attacks the team, they zoom in on that charge that the guy was trying to grab as Loki pulled him back. So I think he's gonna think he can figure out some kind of chain reaction with the resets. Like if I set this at this time and this at this time and this at this time, it'll clean up however he views it in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, could be. Maybe he's trying to reset to the point where the time stream was created to take advantage and kill the Timekeepers there. We don't know like what sort of beings they are, if they're even physical.
Well, they're whatever they want to be.
Yeah, there's something.
Yeah.
But like, they definitely won the war, and this is their version of events. And
Sure.
I think it's just gonna lead directly into the multiverse of madness.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
He creates these branching patterns of like, he's like, no, I want my free will, and that's what he goes with.
It's gonna be so. Everybody thought Doctor Strange was gonna show up in WandaVision. Do you think we get Doctor Strange in Loki? End. I think we kind of have. They let off the season with the multiverse of madness. Like we have to get him at some point.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Everyone, the theories are going to be crazy, and they're probably all going to be wrong again.
Yeah, I can't wait to jump on Reddit and read all these things, but.
Everyone's going to be talking about Mephisto again, because that's been the thing for like the last 5 years.
Well, especially during WandaVision, everybody said Mephisto. Yeah. No, and that's why Feige and the team over at the MCU is so good, because you can think. I mean, you know, and there's people like I haven't read even 1% of the comics that Marvel's ever put out, and there's people that've read almost every single one, and they're still wrong because Kevin Feige says, "Nope, I am Kevin Feige. I do what I want with the MCU, and you're gonna like it, and we always like it."
And you're in my time stream. And then he like chops the head off of the executive at Disney.
Yeah. He just takes over Disney. And he's like, I am Disney now.
$10 billion last year.
Yeah, that would be something, huh? Kevin Feige just usurps the entire Disney empire.
He blows the top off a space mountain and ascends into the heavens.
What a glorious man, Kevin Feige. At least in terms of giving us nerds
like,
what
I'll
we...
be back for the next movie.
At least he always gives us what we want, you know? Even if we didn't know we wanted it, he gives it to us. But, that's going to wrap us up here. The Bros Watch Loki, episode 1. We'll be back every week during the season. I think we're getting, 8 episodes out of this one, I think?
Hopefully.
It's either 6 or 8, but I think it's 8. But either way, we'll be back for all of them. We may do a live finale again. I know we had some of our supporters chime in with questions during the Expanse, the live finale. This one's a little harder to do because Disney always drops them at like 2 a.m. You know.
Yeah, well, they drop it at midnight Pacific. So
right, but like, I'm not gonna stay up, and I'm too old for that nowadays. You know, but
it's a school night. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, this has been the Bros Watch Loki, episode 1, season 1. We will be back next week on a Wednesday again. We'll try and get the episodes out as soon as we can on Wednesdays for everybody to enjoy. If you like this, make sure and go back and watch our other series. We did The Mandalorian, The Boys, and The Expanse. I don't know why we picked only shows that had "the" in the beginning, but now we don't. So, subscribe. Subscribe. Give us a little subscribe to the Sipping Around channel. If you're a fan of the Sipping Around podcast, which thank you to all 10 of you, we'll be back on that hopefully soon and doing that and kind of enjoying some adult beverages with the friends and talking about silly things. So hopefully we'll get those started up again here soon. So,
I'm ready.
Without further ado, this has been the Bros Watch Loki.